Well, that was something. I mean, it was 90 minutes. Things happened. The opening game of the 2020 Gold Cup last night for the U.S. men's national team took place against Haiti in a 1-0 victory for the U.S. And, while a lot of people are criticizing the lineup and the roster and just kind of the blahness of that game, there were some things that happened that I was very excited about, and I'm excited to share those with you today. But all in all, I was not expecting much, and that's pretty much what I got. I think it's going to be a weird tournament, but there's going to be some things that we learn from this and some things that are going to be important going into qualifying, and I'm excited to get into all that with you today. So welcome to the Yank Report. My name is Sam. This is the Yank Report, the show where we talk about the U.S. men's national team, U.S. soccer, all that good stuff, and if you're into that kind of thing, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can follow us around throughout this Gold Cup journey. It's going to be a long and winding road, and I'm excited to go through it with all of you. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is hit the like button. Please help me obtain a like goal. Let's try to get to 450 likes with this video. If we can do that, then I'm sure that the U.S. is going to win every single game throughout this Gold Cup, and we're going to take home regional glory, 2 regional trophies in one summer. That'll be dope, right? And if you want to get the latest up-to-date information on these players and what's going on in the Gold Cup, the best resource is not actually me, because I take forever to make these videos. The best resource would be our sponsor today, and that is OneFootball. OneFootball is a free app that you can download on your device, your iPhone, your Android, whatever, and it will bring you the latest information on the soccer team, player, whatever it is that you want to follow. OneFootball is great because not only can you go through and see like what games are playing today, which is great in a tournament like the Gold Cup where I don't know who's playing in it, I can go through and see who's playing when, but also if you want to follow specific players, if you heard about a player and don't follow that particular league, it's great to be able to type in that player's name and see what's going on with their career. So if you want to get the latest information on your favorite teams, players, leagues, all that stuff, you can click on the link in the description to download the OneFootball app. By clicking that link, you're directly supporting the Yank Report, and you're getting the most up-to-date information in the soccer world directly to your phone. One guy said this app has changed his life. I don't know if it's going to change your life, but it might help you follow your team or player prospects better, whatever. Anyway, let's jump into the Gold Cup. So the U.S. came out in the 4-3-3 in one of the most bland, mild, uninteresting lineups I have ever seen. I mean, U.S. Soccer Twitter exploded at the boringness of this lineup. I don't actually have it written down, so I'm going to do it from memory. Our back line from right to left was Shaq Moore at the right back. We had Robinson, we had Walker Zimmerman, and we had Sam Vines. Our defensive midfielder was Jackson Yule. Our dual eights were Sebastian Lletget and Kellen Acosta, and our front line from right to left was Paul Arriola, Gyasi Zardes, and Jonathan Lewis. Now, a few quick notes about this lineup. Reggie Cannon apparently picked up a little knock and was not available for this game, so we got Shaq Moore had his opportunity to start, and he actually had a really good game. The defensive midfield, I was really expecting Yule and Lletget and Kellen Acosta to start. Berhalter tends to not give debut starts to players unless there's like some extenuating circumstances out there, so I really wasn't expecting Busio or Williamson to start. And then in the front line, Daryl DK apparently has been battling a quad injury and was not expected to go 90. And I think when we saw him later in the game, you could see that he was kind of dealing with something. He didn't look like his normal self, so Gyasi Zardes gets to start up top. Now let's get into the actual action. And starting pretty early in the 6th minute, the U.S. get their first chance on goal. A Sebastian Lletget corner kick finds Jackson Yule just all alone on the back post. Yule redirects it into the middle. Zimmerman tries a scissor kick and hits the post. Zardes follows up this rebound with a header, but the keeper denies it. Now, one thing that was kind of reoccurring throughout this game was that Walker Zimmerman was dangerous in and around the box on these set-piece opportunities. Not too long after, in the 7th minute, we get our goal sequence, and this includes Zimmerman once again. The U.S. is in possession with just about our entire team on the Haitian half of the field. Zimmerman gets the ball near the middle. Paul Arriola checks back towards Zimmerman, and whenever he checks back from that right wing position, it pulls the Haitian left back up to mark his run. And as he does that, Kellen Acosta runs directly into that space that the left back has vacated, and Zimmerman plays a really nice ball. I was not expecting this from Zimmerman. He plays a really nice ball that breaks the Haitian lines and puts Kellen Acosta in line with the Haitian back line. Kellen Acosta then plays the ball out wide to Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore plays a low-driven ball into Gyasi Zardes. The The ball doesn't get to Zardes directly, but off of a reflection, Zardes actually flicks the ball up in the air towards the back post into the path of an oncoming Sam Vines, who heads it away for the first goal. Now, this goal, the actual goal sequence wasn't the greatest thing ever. Was Zardes getting that touch that some people want to credit him for and some people don't? I don't know. And then Sam Vines coming through in the back, so that was good to see. But I think the best thing about this sequence was seeing Paul Arriola and Kellyn Acosta with that understanding, and also Walker Zimmerman. We do criticize Greg a lot, and we criticize the system a lot, and deservedly so in many cases, but this was a case where you have 4 players who were on the same page. Arriola checking back, Kellyn Acosta checking into that vacated space, Walker Zimmerman playing the correct ball at the correct time, and then Shaq Moore recognizing the sequence taking place and puts in a well-timed run to where he is onside and even and available to accept that ball from Kellyn Acosta. This is an example of 4 players who are cohesive and a team that understands what they're trying to do, understands the concepts. It leads to a goal-scoring opportunity, and this time we were fortunately enough to finish that with a goal, 1-0 USA. Now, unfortunately, it all comes crashing down not too long after that. And in the 13th minute, Paul Arriola receives a ball as he's attacking on the right flank. He attempts a cross into Zardes, but that cross goes directly into the stands. Arriola immediately puts his arm in the air for medical attention, and it seems that he has an issue with his right leg. You knew it right away. You could see the look on his face. You could tell that whatever happened wasn't good. I don't want to speculate as to what the injury was, but immediately Arriola is lost within the first 15 minutes of the game. Gianluca has to come on, and it's clear, even though Arriola gets a lot of flack and is probably not a player that's going to be on the senior team in our starting 11 or even in our top 23. He's the guy that would be really important for this particular tournament. He's one of those veteran players. He's one of those players that we know we're going to get out of him. He's one of those players that can understand his role within the team and create opportunities with his movement like he did for that first goal. And he coming off means that the winger depth at that point is Gianluca, it's Lewis, and it's Hoppy. And not looking good from the winger department from the United States. We don't know the severity of Arriola's injury, but that is not a good thing for the U.S.'s ability to create from the wing throughout this tournament. In the 20-minute mark, Haiti gets probably their best opportunity of the game. A Haitian left winger is running at Acosta and Moore down the U.S.'s right flank. The Haitian attacker plays a long switch into the box to his opposite wing. At this point, Sam Vines is caught upfield, and the right flank for the U.S. is completely exposed. Robinson gets over to cover the man with the ball. A Haitian trail runner is coming into the box, and he's bypassed by 2 U.S. defenders, Yule and Leggett. Yule points at the runner as if it's Legett's man. The Haitian attacker plays the ball to the trail runner, who fires it into the side netting. Sebastian Leggett slaps his hands together in frustration. So, throughout the Nations League, we had this issue where our left winger was getting caught upfield, and there was just like not a great recognition of how to handle that in those moments where we're getting counterattacked, runners are coming free, and this was just a continuation of that. And it was very disappointing to see and scary to see early on, because it's an issue that seems to be reoccurring throughout the team, because this is a totally different team than that Nations League team. Moving right along into the 42nd minute of the game, Shaq Moore is released down the right flank. He puts a low cross in that is inches away from Zardes. The keeper recovers. This is another moment where it seemed like throughout that first half, all the best stuff that was happening for the U.S. was happening down that right flank, and it was either because of Shaq Moore or it was because of Kellyn Acosta. The two combined really well. Kellyn Acosta had a nice game himself, one of the better players on the field for the U.S. This is a tournament where you'd expect at this level Kellyn Acosta should shine, and he really did shine in this game. Shaq Moore, we don't know where he is on the depth chart for the U.S. He probably wasn't supposed to get the start if not for Reggie Cannon's injury, but he comes in and shows that he's a very competent option at that right back position. Now, we know that this is Haiti, that this is a Haiti team that's missing 5 players due to COVID, but Shaq Moore, it got his opportunity, and he did really well. He put in some really nice crosses and was a danger on that right flank throughout the game. The U.S. gets another chance with their last bit of action at the end of the first half at the 47th minute. In the 47th minute, Sebastian Leggett plays in a corner. That corner is headed out of the box. Kellyn Acosta collects that rebound and he plays a nice lob out to Sebastian Lletget, who is still wide after taking the corner. Lletget hits a nice left-footed cross to the back post to find Walker Zimmerman. Unfortunately, Zimmerman's header is directly at the keeper. Another instance where we're seeing two players who should have a good tournament in Sebastian Lletget and Kellen Acosta really having a good tournament. I thought Kellen Acosta had a lot of nice flicks and a lot of nice passes to really open things up for the U.S. One of the better players on the field for me. Again, Sebastian Lletget really doing his job. He provided some nice crosses. He provided some nice service from the corners. And Walker Zimmerman once again being a threat in dead ball situations. A little bit after halftime, the U.S. gets another great opportunity. This one comes in the 53rd minute from Nico Gioacchini. Gioacchini's attacking down the right flank. He cuts inside and he rips a shot at the back post. He's not too far away. One thing about Gioacchini, I thought he had a few nice moments where he had shots on goal from his right wing position. But the thing about Gioacchini is, even though he's played some wing for his club team, he's a forward, and you can tell he's a forward. He looked for his shot throughout this game. His attempts at crossing and combination play from that wing position, they just weren't great. To be fair to Gioacchini, he is still in preseason mode. He is not a player that's in form. Maybe he's a player that gets better throughout this tournament, but it's pretty clear that while Gioacchini can, I guess, be a competent option from that right wing, he's not going to be able to do the same things that Paul Arriola does as far as just being an all-around winger. He's going to be looking for a shot, and he did that a few times in this game. In the 62nd minute of the match, I thought the most significant action of the match occurred, and that happened whenever Busio and DK came in for Jackson Yule and Jonathan Lewis. Now, on Jackson Yule, I know so much has been said about Jackson Yule, but, this game really highlighted everything that needs to be said for Jackson Yule. There were so many opportunities where the U.S. was looking to break out or the U.S. had something going and it came into Jackson Yule's feet and he either failed to turn and find the option for the pass or just was way too slow or just played the safe option. And I think that's the thing about Jackson Yule. It's not necessarily the things he does that kill us. It's the things that he's not doing. And I think we saw that juxtaposition whenever Busio came in. We also saw that in the Costa Rica game whenever Tyler Adams left the game and Jackson Yule came in. It's his speed of play and his speed of thought that are the issue. I tweeted out that I think that this game was the end of the Jackson Yule era. I think that Gianluca Busio came on and was one of the better players on the field for the U.S., maybe the best player on the field for me in his limited minutes, even though he only got about 30 minutes. I think it would be really difficult for Berhalter to start Jackson Yule over Busio again in this tournament, or for Eryk Williamson, for that matter, who had a tidy game himself in his limited minutes. So following this change, I thought that there was a complete shift in the game for the U.S. I thought that the midfield started controlling the game more. I thought that the back line looked way more comfortable playing out. I thought that Busio just provided so much. He was always an option and played the smart pass quickly. He also played some really nice balls over the top. So things just really started to change. It was like a flick of a switch for the U.S. team, and we saw a nice opportunity in the 65th minute. Acosta receives a ball on the right flank and drifts into the middle of the field with the offense in front of him. He plays a sweet dink over the top to Gioacchini, putting him in on goal. Nico takes a left-footed curler. He beats the keeper, but he hits the post. Great opportunity from Nico. Great shot on goal. This is another one of those moments where you see where Nico can be good for this U.S. men's national team in this Gold Cup. Whenever he gets the ball in and around the box, he's going to be looking to score. Another great moment from Kellen Acosta, who had a bunch of nice passes throughout this game. I thought Acosta was great playing offensively and defensively. Acosta did have one moment where Busio beat a player, ran upfield, and gave him a ball. Wasn't a great position for Busio that he put Acosta in, but Acosta did lose that ball, and it led to a break for Haiti. But outside of that one moment, I thought that Acosta had a pretty decent game, a game that you would expect for him to have at this level. Now, it's important to note that at this point in the game, whenever Busio and DK came on as the center forward, pushing Zardes out wide. So at this point, we had a front three of Nico Gioacchini, Daryl DK, and Gyasi Zardes. Three forwards and two forwards kind of playing winger. And we saw that kind of rear its ugly head later on in the game in the 69th minute. A ball is played into the Haitian right winger who is holding up Sam Vines. The Haitian winger spots a Haitian right back who is overlapping down the right flank. Zardes is slow to recognize this run, and the overlapping run puts the Haitian right back away into the U.S. box. Zardes is running behind him trying to catch up, but he's been beaten at that point. The Haitian right back plays a ball into the center spot for an oncoming Haitian runner. Shaq Moore gets there first and clears the ball into the stands. So great play from Shaq Moore. So Shaq Moore had plays offensively and defensively, but this was a moment where you could see that Zardes kind of failed to recognize what was happening. And, you can blame Zardes in that position, but you can also say Zardes ain't a winger. He hasn't played winger for a really long time. This is what happens whenever you play players out of position. Things that are kind of common for a player in that position are kind of foreign to a player who's not used to playing that position. Zardes fails to spot that run. Haiti's away, had a goal-scoring opportunity right there. In the 75th moment of the match, I feel like the most exciting thing in the match happened. The only thing that got me to jump off the couch and get really excited. Busio hits a curling ball over the top to Sam Vines, who's making a run down the left flank. Vines puts in a low cross that's defended by a Haitian defender. The rebound bounces directly to Busio at the top of the box. Busio hits a first-time volley. The volley is an absolute missile and seems to be heading for the back of the net, but the Haitian keeper is able to get a hand onto it and send it up in the air. This was the most exciting moment of the game. The crowd erupted. There was a Busio chant that started throughout the stadium, and I think it really put a dagger in the whole Jackson Yule experiment, or whatever it is you want to call it, because in that play, we saw Busio both be that field general from the back, where he started the sequence by playing that ball over the top, something that we're supposed to get from Jackson Yule, but rarely do we get balls like that from Jackson Yule. And then at the end of the play, Busio finishes it off with that absolute firecracker of a volley. And while you can say that Jackson Yule has scored goals, we saw what he did in the final game of the Olympic qualifiers. Busio is a player that, at least in MLS, tends to get on the end of opportunities more often than not. He does have a fair amount of goals to his game. He is a player willing to shoot from the outside. He is a player willing to mix it up from outside the box, create opportunities, and finish them himself. Look, if you've been watching this channel for a little while, you know that I'm a big Gianluca Busio supporter, but I've been concerned about what he's going to look like whenever he gets to that international level. Is he going to be able to translate what he does in MLS to the international level? And whenever I saw him come on, I saw him be the best player on the field for the U.S., a player that not only was great in his own right, but made all the players around him better. If nothing else occurs from this Gold Cup, at least we get Busio's debut. We see what he can do in the national team, and hopefully this brings the end of the Jackson Yule era and at least gives us another option if Tyler Adams is out in that sixth position. In the 76th minute, we saw another substitution. Eryk Williamson and James Sands come on for Nico Joaquini and Shaq Moore. The U.S. go to a back three with Kelvin Acosta being the right wing back. This is something that we've seen Greg Berhalter do every now and then. Whenever the U.S. is holding down a lead, he'll go to a back three. And considering the dearth of wing options, and especially with Paul Arriola going down early in this game, I think it's something that we might see more of. Another thing we should note is that Eryk Williamson gets his debut right here, and he had some nice moments. Not enough time. He only had 15 minutes, so you can't get too much from his performance, but I thought overall, from what I saw from him, it left me wanting more. I think Eryk Williamson is going to get more opportunities throughout this tournament. So that was basically the game. Of course, in the final seconds of the game, Haiti had an opportunity where it was kind of chaos in the box, but I mean, they clearly fouled Matt Turner, so if anything would have came of that, it would have just been called off by VAR anyway. I'm assuming. Luckily, Turner was able to stop that. Now, one thing I will say, we haven't really mentioned Turner in this video, and Turner was a player that's been coming into this tournament with really high expectations, and while he performed adequately as a shot blocker, I think we all see that he doesn't have it with the ball at his feet. That's not something in his game, and as we can tell that Greg Berhalter really needs his goalkeeper to play with the ball at his feet. It's going to be something that's going to hamper Matt Turner's ability to move up the depth chart for the U.S. men's national team. That's something to watch moving forward. I will give a shout out to Walker Zimmerman because I never really rated Walker Zimmerman. I think he's just an okay center back, but he had a really nice game. He had that ball in that created that first goal. He had a lot of threatening actions on set pieces, especially on corner kicks. He was a decisive defender throughout the game. So big ups to Walker Zimmerman. On the flip side, Robinson, the guy who was supposed to be the breakout center back from this tournament, kind of had a quiet game. Can't say it was a bad game, but can't say it was a great game either. I think that can be said about a few other players. One thing that should be said was that Jonathan Lewis was I forgot he was in the game for large stretches. I mean, I thought that the left flank, like everything that happened on the left flank happened through Vines. Lewis hardly touched the ball, and whenever he did, it was rarely great. One of the big criticisms of Berhalter coming in was selecting Lewis over, other players, but player like maybe Chris Mueller or, just not having wing options in general. And Lewis kind of proved early on that he's just not up to it at this level. So the wing is going to be a concern. Now, the U.S. does have another game coming up Thursday against Martinique, and then finally it'll be Sunday against Canada. Similar to coming into this Haitian game, the U.S. will be the strong favorites coming into that Martinique game. We'll see if Berhalter opts for some of those changes that we think are super necessary heading into that Martinique game, specifically Gianluca Busio starting the game. I think if Gianluca Busio starts, we have a much more fun, much more exciting team going into that game. We'll see what happens with Daryl DK and that injury. We'll see if Shaq Moore can come through again and have another great game. What's happening in that left back situation between George Bello and Sam Vines? Did Vines play well enough to warrant another start? Is Bello showing well enough in training to warrant a start? We'll see. I'm curious to know what you guys thought from that game. Let me know in the comments section. As always, if you speak Spanish, por favor, leave a comment in español. Así que puedo practicar mi español. If you are watching at this point and you are not yet subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can keep track and follow this throughout the tournament. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is hit that like button. I appreciate everybody who hits that like button. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Sam, and this is the Yank Report.